The morning sun of Viridian Prime cast strange purple light through the tall windows of the Galactic Military Academy. Inside Classroom 7, 43 cadets from 12 different species waited in their seats. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few glowed faintly in the dim corners of the room. They all shared one thing in common. Nervous energy filled the air like static electricity. Commander Vraxis stood at the front of the classroom, his 4 eyes scanning the assembled students. His crystalline skin caught the light and threw rainbow patterns across the walls. He had taught at this academy for 22 cycles, training the best and brightest from across the galaxy. But today's lesson would be different from any he had given before. "Settle down," Vraxis said, his voice carrying easily through the space. The cadets fell silent immediately. "Today we begin a new unit. You will learn about the newest species to join the Galactic Council. You will learn about humans." A ripple of whispers spread through the classroom. Everyone had heard rumors about the humans. Some said they were giants who could tear metal with their bare hands. Others claimed they were small but vicious, like the razor-toothed parasites of Keltor Prime. Nobody seemed to agree on what humans actually were, which made them all the more frightening. Vraxis tapped a control pad on his desk. The lights dimmed further, and a holographic display flickered to life in the center of the room. It showed a blue and green planet, small and unremarkable, spinning slowly in the darkness of space. "This is Earth," Vraxis announced, "the human homeworld. At first glance it appears pleasant. Abundant water, diverse ecosystems, moderate temperature ranges. But do not be fooled. This planet is classified as a Class 7 death world by the Galactic Survey Corps." Several cadets gasped. A Class 7 rating meant the planet was actively hostile to most forms of life. Only 3 other Council member species came from worlds with ratings above Class 4. "The dominant species of this world calls themselves humans," Vraxis continued. He changed the image to show a human figure rotating in the holographic display. It stood on 2 legs, had 2 arms, and a single head with 2 eyes. They appeared deceptively similar to several other bipedal species. This similarity is dangerous. It may cause you to underestimate them. The door at the back of the classroom opened with a soft hiss. Every head turned to look. A human walked in, and the room fell completely silent. She was neither tall nor short by galactic standards, with brown skin and dark hair pulled back into a neat bun. She wore the standard uniform of a liaison officer, dark blue with silver insignia on the shoulders. Her movements were smooth and controlled as she walked down the aisle between the seats. Several cadets leaned away as she passed. "This is Captain Lisa Morgan," Vraxis said. "She has been assigned to assist with this unit. She will help you understand what humans are truly capable of." Lisa reached the front of the room and turned to face the class. She smiled, showing white teeth. Half the cadets flinched. On many worlds, showing teeth was a sign of aggression. "Good morning," Lisa said. Her voice was calm and friendly. "I know some of you are nervous. That's okay. I'm here to answer your questions and help you understand my species better." Vraxis tapped his control pad again. The holographic display changed to show images of Earth's history. Ancient humans hunting large animals with primitive weapons. Humans building cities of stone and metal. Humans in vehicles, in aircraft, and spacecraft. Humanity's development followed an unusual path, Vraxis explained. They evolved as persistence predators on a world filled with larger, stronger creatures. They survived not through size or strength, but through endurance, intelligence, and an unusual social structure that emphasized cooperation. The images shifted to show human soldiers in various time periods. Warriors with swords and shields. Soldiers with rifles in muddy trenches. Modern troops in advanced armor carrying weapons that looked disturbingly powerful. "But here is what you must understand," Vraxis said, his voice dropping lower. "Humans are classified as a Class 4 hazardous species by the Galactic Safety Commission. In their short history, they have developed weapons capable of destroying their own planet. They have fought wars that killed millions of their own kind. They are aggressive, territorial, and extremely difficult to defeat once they have decided to fight." He clicked to another image. It showed human soldiers in combat, moving through smoke and fire with expressions of grim determination on their faces. "This creature is dangerous," Vraxis stated flatly. Lisa, who had been standing quietly to the side, raised an eyebrow. The gesture was small, but every cadet in the room noticed it. She looked at Vraxis with an expression that wasn't quite amusement and wasn't quite challenge. "Dangerous?" she asked. Her tone was mild, conversational. To whom, sir? The question hung in the air. Vraxis met her gaze with two of his 4 eyes while the other 2 continued to scan the classroom. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. An excellent question, Vraxis finally said. That is precisely what this unit will explore. Humans are dangerous, yes, but the nature of that danger depends entirely on context. To their enemies, they are a nightmare. To their allies, he paused. Well, we shall see. He turned back to the class. You will spend the next several weeks learning everything we know about humanity. You will study their biology, their history, their psychology, and their military capabilities. You will participate in exercises with human instructors. And at the end of this unit, you will write an assessment of whether humans should be fully integrated into galactic military operations, or whether they should be restricted to a support role due to their hazardous classification. A Pralaxian cadet near the front, a small being covered in soft purple fur, raised a delicate hand. Commander Vraxis, sir? Is it true that humans evolved from predators? They evolved as predators, Vraxis corrected. Present tense. They still are predators, biologically speaking. Captain Morgan, perhaps you would like to address this. Lisa stepped forward slightly. It's true, she said simply. Humans are omnivores, which means we eat both plants and meat. Our ancestors hunted animals for food. We still do in some parts of our world. But we also farm. We cultivate crops. We've developed synthetic foods. Being a predator doesn't mean we're mindless killers. It just means we're adapted for a certain lifestyle. Show them your eyes, Vraxis said. Lisa turned to face the class fully. Human eyes are positioned at the front of our heads, she explained. This gives us binocular vision, which helps us judge distances accurately. It's a common trait among predators. Our eyes work together to create a 3-dimensional picture of the world. It makes us very good at tracking movement and identifying threats. A Korvathi cadet, crystalline like Vraxis but smaller and greener in hue, spoke up without raising his hand. Do humans still hunt? For sport? Some do, Lisa admitted. Not for survival, usually. More as a tradition or a hobby. We have plenty of food from farming and manufacturing. But yes, some humans enjoy hunting wild animals in controlled environments. The classroom erupted in whispers. The concept seemed to disturb many of the cadets. Why would a species hunt for enjoyment rather than necessity? What kind of creature found violence entertaining? Vraxis allowed the whispers to continue for a moment, then raised one hand for silence. You begin to understand the complexity of the situation. Humans contain contradictions. They are capable of great violence, yet they are also capable of great compassion. They form bonds with other species, yet they hunt for recreation. They have nearly destroyed themselves in wars. Yet they have also created art, music, and philosophy that rivals anything in the galaxy. He changed the holographic display again. This time it showed human cities at night, glittering with millions of lights. It showed human spacecraft, elegant and functional. It showed humans with aliens working together on what appeared to be some kind of construction project. Humanity has been part of the Galactic Council for only 8 cycles, Vraxis said. In that time, they have proven themselves to be valuable allies and skilled diplomats. But the question remains, can we trust them? Should we trust them? And more importantly, what happens if we cannot? Lisa crossed her arms over her chest, a gesture that made her appear relaxed and confident. I think the better question is, can you afford not to trust us? The galaxy isn't getting any safer. There are threats beyond council space that don't care about diplomacy or peace treaties. When those threats come, and they will come, you'll want humans on your side. A fair point, Vraxis acknowledged, which is why this unit is so important. You cadets represent the future of galactic cooperation. You will serve on ships and stations alongside humans. You may command human troops or serve under human commanders. You need to understand what you're working with. He shut off the holographic display. The purple sunlight from the windows seemed brighter now, washing away the shadows in the room. Your assignment for tomorrow, Vraxis announced, is to research one aspect of human history or culture. Come prepared to present your findings to the class. Choose carefully. There is much to learn and not all of it is pleasant, but it is all necessary. The cadets began gathering their materials, chattering among themselves in a dozen different languages and communication methods. The next morning brought rain to Viridian Prime. The drops were thick and oily, common for this planet's unusual atmospheric composition. The alien cadets hurried through the purple downpour to reach the academy building. their various forms of rain protection making them look like a parade of colorful umbrellas and shields. Inside Classroom 7, Vraxis had prepared something special. Medical equipment lined one wall, including a full-body scanner that hummed quietly as it warmed up. Holographic anatomy displays floated in the air, waiting to be activated. The room smelled faintly of antiseptic and ozone. Lisa arrived early, wearing a simple gray tank top and black pants instead of her uniform. She stood near the medical equipment, chatting casually with a Yarvelian medical officer who would be assisting with today's demonstration. The cadets filed in, shaking off rain and moisture. They took their seats with eager curiosity. Today's topic had been announced in advance: human biology and physical capabilities. It was one thing to hear that humans were dangerous. It was another to understand why. "Good morning," Vraxis began once everyone was settled. "Today we will examine what makes humans physically different from most spacefaring species. Captain Morgan has agreed to participate in several demonstrations. I trust you will all observe respectfully." He activated the first holographic display. It showed a human skeleton rotating slowly in the air. "We begin with the basics. Humans have an internal skeleton made of calcium-based bones. This is common among many species. However, human bones are unusually dense and capable of withstanding tremendous force." The display zoomed in on a leg bone. A human femur, the largest bone in their body, can support roughly 30 times the weight of an average human. It takes approximately 4,000 pounds of force to break. For comparison, most bipedal species have bones that break at 1/4 that pressure. A Thromalian cadet, large and covered in thick armored plates, made a skeptical rumbling sound. "That seems inefficient. Why would evolution favor such heavy bones? It must slow them down." "An excellent observation," Vraxis said. "Captain Morgan, would you care to demonstrate the speed of an average human?" Lisa smiled and walked to the center of the room where there was open floor space. "I'm going to run in place for 30 seconds, she announced. "Watch my legs." She started running, her feet pounding against the floor in a rapid rhythm. The cadets watched as her legs moved in a blur of motion. Even running in place, the power and speed of her movements were obvious. After 30 seconds, she stopped, barely breathing hard. "The human leg structure allows for both power and speed," Vraxis explained. "Their ancestors ran down prey over long distances. A healthy human can run for hours without stopping. Many species in this room would collapse from exhaustion long before a human even began to tire." He changed the holographic display to show a human heart and lungs. The cardiovascular system is equally impressive. The human heart is a 4-chambered muscle that beats roughly 70 times per minute at rest. Under stress, it can beat over 200 times per minute while still maintaining efficiency. Their lungs can process oxygen and atmospheric conditions that would suffocate many of us. Lisa had moved to stand on a low platform near the medical scanner. The Yarvelian doctor attached several monitoring devices to her arms and chest. "We will now demonstrate human stress response," Vraxis announced. "Captain Morgan will perform a series of physical exercises while we monitor her vital signs. Observe carefully." The holographic display changed to show Lisa's heart rate, blood pressure, oxygen levels, and other vital statistics in real time. At rest, everything looked normal. Then Lisa dropped to the floor and began doing push-ups. Her arms bent and straightened in smooth, controlled movements. The numbers on the display began to climb. Heart rate increased. Oxygen consumption rose. But what surprised the cadets most was how long she continued. 10 push-ups became 20. 20 became 50. At 75, she finally stopped and stood up. Not even breathing hard, a small Pralaxian cadet named Ziva whispered to her neighbor. "Now observe what happens when we introduce a stress factor," Vraxis said. He nodded to his assistant, who activated a holographic simulation. Suddenly the room appeared to be on fire. Flames surrounded Lisa on all sides. The heat wasn't real, but the visual was terrifying. The displays tracking Lisa's vitals went wild. Her heart rate spiked dramatically. Her pupils dilated, visible even from across the room. Her muscles tensed. "This is the human fight-or-flight response," Vraxis narrated. "When threatened, the human body floods itself with a chemical called adrenaline. This chemical temporarily increases strength, speed, and pain tolerance. A human in this state can perform feats that would be impossible under normal conditions." He deactivated the holographic fire. Lisa's vital signs gradually returned to normal, though her heart rate stayed elevated for several minutes. The fascinating part, Vraxis continued, is that humans can trigger this response voluntarily to some degree. They can prepare themselves for danger, psychologically pushing their bodies into a combat-ready state. Captain Morgan, can you explain this? Lisa nodded, rolling her shoulders to relax. It's called psyching yourself up. Athletes do it before competitions. Soldiers do it before combat. You focus your mind on the task ahead, tell yourself you can do it, and your body responds. The adrenaline starts flowing even before the actual danger arrives. A Korvathi cadet raised a hand. Does this not exhaust you? Such a system seems like it would burn through your energy reserves quickly. It does, Lisa admitted. After a major adrenaline surge, humans usually feel tired, sometimes shaky. We need to rest and eat to recover, but in the moment when survival is on the line, it gives us the edge we need. Vraxis pulled up another display, this one showing human muscles. The muscular system deserves special attention. Humans have roughly 640 muscles in their bodies. These muscles are capable of both fine motor control and explosive power. Watch this demonstration. Lisa picked up a data pad from a nearby table. Her fingers moved across its surface with delicate precision, typing out a message. Then she set the pad down and walked to a reinforced training dummy in the corner of the room. Without warning, she drove her fist into the dummy's chest plate. The impact echoed through the classroom. The dummy, designed to withstand strikes from most species, rocked backward on its base. A small dent appeared in the metal chest plate. Several cadets jumped in their seats. Lisa shook her hand casually and returned to the center of the room. The same appendages that can perform delicate surgery can also break bones, Vraxis said. This versatility makes humans extremely adaptable fighters. They can switch from precision work to brutal force in an instant. He changed the display again, this time showing a human brain. But perhaps the most dangerous aspect of human biology is this: their brain. Human brains are large relative to their body size and incredibly complex. They are capable of abstract thought, long-term planning, and something called creative problem-solving. What does that mean? Asked Ziva, her small voice curious rather than frightened. Lisa answered this time. It means we're really good at finding solutions to problems, even when those solutions aren't obvious. If one approach doesn't work, we try another. And another. We don't give up easily. We improvise, Vraxis nodded. This trait has served humanity well throughout their evolution. When faced with predators larger and stronger than themselves, they invented weapons. When faced with hostile environments, they invented shelter and clothing. When faced with disease, they invented medicine. Every problem humanity has encountered, they have eventually solved. He pulled up an image showing human eyes in detail. Earlier we discussed human vision. Let me elaborate. Human eyes can see in color, which many species cannot. They can detect subtle movements across great distances. They can adjust to different light levels relatively quickly, and most importantly, they rarely stop watching. To demonstrate, Vraxis had Lisa stand in the center of the room while he moved around her. No matter where he went, her eyes tracked him. When he stopped moving, she continued scanning the room, her gaze moving from cadet to cadet. Humans are always observing, Vraxis said, always gathering information, always assessing their environment for potential threats or opportunities. This constant vigilance is instinctive. They cannot turn it off. A Threxian cadet, tall and insectoid with multiple arms, clicked his mandibles together nervously. This all sounds very threatening. If humans are so dangerous, why were they allowed into the council? Because danger is not the same as evil, Vraxis replied. A star is dangerous, but we harness its energy. A blade is dangerous, but we use it as a tool. Humans are dangerous, yes, but they can be reasoned with, negotiated with, befriended. That makes all the difference. He walked to where Lisa stood and gestured to her. Captain Morgan, show them the scar on your arm. Lisa rolled up her sleeve, revealing a long white line running from her elbow to her wrist. Got this during training, she said. Fell through a glass panel. Cut deep, hit some muscles and tendons. Took 20 stitches to close. The cadets leaned forward, examining the scar. It was clearly old, well healed. This injury would have crippled most species permanently, Vraxis said. The classroom felt heavier today. The cadets had done their homework, and what they had learned sat uneasily in their minds. They entered quietly, without the usual chatter, and took their seats with somber expressions. Even the normally boisterous Threxian cadets seemed subdued. Vraxis stood at the front of the room, waiting. Lisa sat off to one side, her expression neutral. She knew what was coming. She had lived through these lessons before, in different classrooms with different students. It never got easier. "Good morning," Vraxis said once everyone was settled. "Today we discuss human history, specifically human military history. I know many of you found disturbing information in your research. That is expected. Human history is not gentle, but it is necessary for you to understand if you are to work alongside humans in a military capacity." He gestured to a Korvathi cadet in the front row. "Thros, you volunteered to present first. Please share what you learned." Thros stood slowly, his crystalline body reflecting the light in sharp angles. He activated his datapad and a holographic image appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth with various regions highlighted in red. "I researched human global conflicts," Thros began, his voice uncertain. "I focused on what they call the Second World War, which occurred in their years 1939 to 1945. He paused, as if gathering courage. "The scale of this conflict is difficult to comprehend." The holographic display changed to show statistics. Numbers scrolled past, each one more staggering than the last. "Over 100 million soldiers participated in this war," Thros continued. 70 to 85 million casualties, including civilians. Cities were destroyed. Entire populations were displaced. They developed weapons specifically designed to kill as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. The classroom was silent. Several cadets looked like they wanted to leave. Thros pressed on. "What disturbs me most is not just the numbers but the duration. This war lasted 6 years. 6 years of continuous fighting across multiple continents. And this was not humanity's first war, nor their last. They have been fighting each other for their entire recorded history." He sat down looking shaken. Vraxis nodded slowly. "Thank you, Thros. Your research was thorough. Who would like to present next?" A Prelaxian cadet named Ziva raised her small hand. She stood, trembling slightly. "I researched human weapons development. I thought it would be less upsetting than casualties. I was wrong." She activated her own display, showing various human weapons throughout history. Spears and swords gave way to guns and cannons, then missiles and bombs. "Humans have always been creating better ways to kill," Ziva said quietly. "Every generation developed something more efficient than the last. But what truly frightened me was this." She pulled up an image of a mushroom cloud. "They call these nuclear weapons. A single bomb can destroy an entire city. They created these weapons before they even left their home planet." She looked at Lisa with wide eyes. "How did you survive? How did your species not destroy itself?" Lisa stood and walked to the center of the room. She studied the image of the mushroom cloud for a moment before speaking. "That's a fair question. And honestly, we came close. Very close. There were moments in our history when one wrong decision, one miscommunication, could have ended human civilization." She gestured for Ziva to pull up a map of Earth. "During something we called the Cold War, 2 major human nations had enough nuclear weapons pointed at each other to destroy the planet several times over. They never fired them. Not because they couldn't, but because they chose not to." "But why?" asked a Yarvelian cadet. "If you had the power to destroy your enemies, why show restraint?" "Because we learned," Lisa said simply. "We learned that total victory through total destruction isn't victory at all. It's mutual annihilation. We learned that some costs are too high to pay, even for winning." Vraxis stepped forward. "This is a crucial point. Yes, humans have fought devastating wars. Yes, they have created terrible weapons. But they have also developed concepts like war crimes, rules of engagement, and international law. They recognized their own capacity for destruction and created systems to limit it." He pulled up another set of images showing humans helping each other after disasters, building together, working in cooperation. After the Second World War that Thros described, something remarkable happened. The nations that had been enemies became allies. Former soldiers who had fought each other became friends. Humans rebuilt what they had destroyed and created something stronger. A Thromalian cadet, her armor plates clicking as she shifted uncomfortably, spoke up. "But they are still fighting. Human military forces are active in multiple sectors. How is that different from their historical wars?" Lisa answered. "Scale and purpose. We're not trying to conquer or destroy anymore. Modern human military action is focused on defense, peacekeeping, and protecting allies. We learned from our mistakes. It took a long time and a lot of suffering, but we learned." Vraxis continued the lesson. "Let me show you something else." He pulled up footage of human soldiers in various peacekeeping missions across the galaxy. Humans helping rebuild infrastructure, providing medical care, protecting civilians from various threats. This is the evolution of human military philosophy, Vraxis explained. Yes, they maintain the capacity for violence, but they have redirected that capacity toward protection rather than conquest. The warrior instinct remains, but the targets have changed. He changed the display to show human military structure. Modern human military forces are heavily regulated. They answer to civilian governments. They follow strict codes of conduct. Soldiers who violate these codes face severe punishment. This is not a warrior culture that glorifies violence for its own sake. This is a culture that recognizes violence as a tool to be used sparingly and carefully. Another cadet, a Keltorian named Mex with shimmering scales, raised a tentacle-like appendage. Commander Vraxis, I have a question that troubles me. If humans have caused so much destruction in their history, how can we trust them not to do the same to us? The room fell silent again. Every cadet wanted to hear the answer to this question. Vraxis looked at Lisa. Captain Morgan, how would you answer that? Lisa took a deep breath. I won't lie to you. Humans have done terrible things. We've committed atrocities. We've destroyed our own people and our own world in countless small ways. But here's what you need to understand. We know this. We teach this. Every human child learns about our worst moments in history. We don't hide from our past. We study it, we remember it, and we use it to make better choices. She walked closer to the assembled cadets. You want to know if you can trust us? Ask yourselves this. Would a species that wanted to conquer the galaxy join a council built on cooperation? Would a species that glorified violence invest so much in diplomacy and peaceful exploration? We're here because we chose to be here. We chose to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Vraxis added, the Galactic Council spent 5 years evaluating humanity before extending membership. We studied their history thoroughly. We saw the wars, the weapons, the destruction, but we also saw something else. We saw a species capable of change, capable of growth, capable of choosing peace when war would be easier. He pulled up another display showing statistics. In the last 100 years of their history before joining the Council, human conflict deaths dropped by 90%. Their weapons became more precise, designed to minimize civilian casualties. Their military actions became shorter and more focused. This is not a species spiraling toward self-destruction. This is a species learning to control its worst impulses. A small voice from the back of the room spoke up. It was another Prilaxian, timid but curious. Captain Morgan, do humans still have warriors? People who want to fight? Yes, Lisa said honestly. Some humans are drawn to military service, to combat, to testing themselves in dangerous situations. But here's the difference. We channel that instinct into protecting others. A human warrior doesn't want to hurt people just to hurt them. They want to be strong enough to protect the people they care about. Vraxis pulled up footage of human military training. The cadets watched as humans ran obstacle courses, practiced hand-to-hand combat, trained with various weapons. The intensity was obvious, but so was the discipline. Modern human military training emphasizes control, Vraxis narrated. Soldiers are taught when to fight and when to hold back. They learn to use minimum necessary force. They study ethics and law as much as they study tactics and weapons. This is not a mob of violent savages. This is a professional force built on discipline and restraint. Thross spoke up again. But what happens if that discipline fails? What if a human loses control? Lisa's expression became serious. Then they face consequences. Military justice in human forces is strict. If a soldier violates the rules of engagement, if they harm civilians, if they exceed their authority, they get prosecuted. Sometimes they go to prison. Human military culture doesn't tolerate war crimes or unnecessary cruelty. Vraxis changed the display one final time. It showed human soldiers from different nations working together on joint operations. Different uniforms, different languages, but coordinated action. One last point about human history, Vraxis said. Humans have fought. 3 days had passed since the difficult lesson on human history. The atmosphere in Classroom 7 had shifted noticeably. The cadets no longer flinched when Lisa walked past their desks. They asked questions more freely. A few had even started greeting her in the hallways between classes. Fear was slowly transforming into curiosity. Today's lesson would push that transformation further. Vraxis stood at his teaching station, preparing the day's materials. Lisa arrived with 3 other human instructors, all dressed in casual clothing rather than formal uniforms. The cadets noticed this immediately and whispered among themselves. "Good morning," Vraxis began once everyone was seated. "Today we discuss what xenobiologists have identified as one of humanity's most unusual traits. They call it the pack bond phenomenon. Captain Morgan, would you like to explain what this means?" Lisa stepped forward with a warm smile. "Humans are social creatures. We evolved in groups, survived in groups, and built our entire civilization around the concept of community. We form emotional bonds with other people, and those bonds are incredibly strong. When a human considers you part of their pack, their group, their family, they become fiercely loyal." She gestured to the other humans in the room. "Let me introduce you to some friends of mine. This is Kevin Price. We served together in the Frontier Defense Corps for 3 years." Kevin, a stocky man with a thick beard and friendly eyes, waved at the class. "Hey everyone, this is Amy Lou," Lisa continued. "We went through officer training together. And this is Carlos Ramos. He saved my life during a rescue operation on Station Kepler 9. Carlos, tall and lean with sharp features, nodded politely. "Nice to meet you all." Vraxis activated a holographic display showing footage of human social interactions. Families eating together, soldiers helping wounded comrades, strangers working together during emergencies. The pack bond manifests in multiple ways, Vraxis explained. But its most significant military application is this: a human will not abandon a packmate. Under any circumstances, they would rather die than leave someone behind. A Thromalian cadet named Kess clicked her armor plates together skeptically. "That seems tactically unsound. Sometimes retreat is necessary for survival." "Absolutely," Lisa agreed. "But humans don't retreat without their wounded. We have a saying, leave no one behind. It's not just a phrase. It's a core value that gets drilled into every human soldier from day one of training." Kevin spoke up. "Let me tell you a story. During a patrol on the frontier, our unit got ambushed. One of our squad members, a guy named Jake, got hit bad. Leg was shattered, couldn't walk. Staying to help him meant exposing ourselves to more fire. The tactically correct decision was to fall back and call for support." He paused, letting the tension build. "We didn't do that. We formed a defensive perimeter around Jake and held position until medical evacuation arrived. 2 of us got wounded doing it, but we got Jake out alive. Nobody even questioned the decision. It was automatic." The cadets looked confused. Several started asking questions at once. Vraxis raised a hand for silence. "This behavior seems irrational to many species," Vraxis said. "Why risk multiple lives for one? From a purely logical standpoint, it makes no sense. But humans do not approach combat purely logically. They approach it emotionally, and their emotional response is to protect their packmates at all costs." Amy walked to the center of the room. "It's not just about tactics. It's about trust. If my teammates know I'll never leave them behind, they trust me completely. That trust makes us stronger as a unit. We fight better, coordinate better, take risks we wouldn't otherwise take because we know someone has our back." Vraxis changed the display to show something unexpected. Humans with animals. Dogs sitting beside soldiers, cats curled up in laps, even images of humans with more unusual creatures like birds and reptiles. "Here is where it becomes truly strange," Vraxis said. "Humans form pack bonds not just with other humans, but with virtually any creature capable of social interaction. They have domesticated dozens of species from their homeworld, and they extend the same loyalty to these animals as they do to other humans." The classroom erupted in confused chatter. Ziva, the small Prilaxian, raised her hand urgently. "Commander, are you saying humans form emotional attachments to non-sentient creatures?" "Yes," Vraxis said simply. "Not only that, but they will risk their lives to protect these creatures. Military units sometimes adopt animals as mascots. These animals serve no tactical purpose. They provide no benefit beyond emotional comfort. Yet humans will protect them as fiercely as they protect each other." Carlos pulled up an image on his datapad and shared it with the class display. It showed a soldier in full combat gear cradling a small furry creature against his chest. "This is from my unit," Carlos explained. "We found this kitten in an abandoned building during a patrol. It was maybe 6 weeks old, starving, scared. One of my teammates, a woman named Sarah, picked it up and refused to leave it behind." He smiled at the memory. "We carried that kitten with us for 2 weeks until we could get it to a safe location. Fed it, kept it warm, protected it. It couldn't fight, couldn't contribute anything useful. But Sarah had bonded with it, and that meant the whole unit protected it. A Keltorian cadet named Mex looked disturbed. This seems like a weakness. What if an enemy discovered this tendency? They could use it against you. They try, Kevin said grimly, and it usually goes badly for them. Because here's the thing. Threatening a human's packmate doesn't make them back down. It makes them angry. And an angry human is more dangerous, not less. Vraxis pulled up combat footage showing human soldiers responding to threats against their teammates. The ferocity was startling. Humans who had been fighting defensively suddenly became aggressive, taking risks, moving with desperate speed to reach their endangered comrades. This is what we call protective aggression. Vraxis narrated. When a human perceives a threat to their pack, their stress response intensifies dramatically. They become faster, stronger, more willing to accept injury to themselves in order to protect others. It is perhaps the most dangerous state a human can enter. Lisa nodded. We're scary when we're fighting for ourselves. But we're terrifying when we're fighting for people we love. The survival instinct that normally tells you to avoid pain and preserve your own life gets overridden by the pack bond. Suddenly, your own safety becomes secondary to protecting your pack. Amy added, I've seen humans do impossible things to protect their teammates. Lift debris that should have been too heavy, run on broken legs, fight while badly injured. The body finds strength it shouldn't have because the mind will not accept losing someone from the pack. Vraxis changed the display again, this time showing humans in everyday settings. People helping neighbors, strangers assisting each other during crises, communities coming together after disasters. The pack bond extends beyond military applications, Vraxis explained. Human communities are built on this principle of mutual support and protection. They help strangers in need. They donate time and resources to people they will never meet. They form bonds across vast distances through communication networks. A young Yarvelian cadet raised a tentacle. Commander, if humans bond so easily, does this not make them vulnerable? Could they not be manipulated through these bonds? Possibly, Vraxis admitted. But humans are also quite good at identifying genuine relationships versus manipulation. They have strong instincts for deception, honed by thousands of years of complex social interaction. A false friend is usually detected quickly. Carlos spoke up. Plus, there's this: if someone betrays a human's trust, breaks a pack bond through deception or malice, the response is severe. Humans don't forgive betrayal easily. The same loyalty that makes us protective makes us extremely hostile toward those who hurt our pack. Lisa walked to the holographic display and gestured to an image, showing human soldiers from different nations working together. Here's something important to understand. When humans join the military, when they become part of the Galactic Council, when they form any kind of alliance, they extend their pack mentality to include new members. My pack isn't just other humans anymore. It includes anyone I serve with. She looked directly at the cadets. If we end up serving together, if we go through training together, if we face danger together, then you become part of my pack. That means I will protect you the same way I'd protect Kevin or Amy or Carlos. Your species, your biology, your appearance doesn't matter. If you're in my pack, I won't leave you behind. The classroom was quiet as the cadets absorbed this information. Ziva finally asked, How do we know when we are part of a human's pack? Is there a ceremony or declaration? Kevin laughed. Nothing that formal. You'll know. Humans show it through actions more than words. We check on packmates regularly, ask how they're doing. We share food, share resources. We include you in social activities. We stand up for you when others threaten you. You'll feel it, Amy nodded. And once you're in, you're in. Human friendships can last decades. People stay in touch across vast distances. The bond doesn't weaken just because you're not physically together anymore. Vraxis pulled up a final set of images showing human social structures throughout history. Tribes, villages, cities, nations, and finally humanities. The morning of the joint training exercise arrived with clear skies and cold wind. The cadets assembled at the Academy's training complex, a massive facility that could simulate almost any environment in the known galaxy. Today it would become a hostile planet, designated as Training Zone Epsilon, a challenge that had broken many previous cadet classes. Vraxis stood on the observation platform above the training floor, watching the assembled students prepare their equipment. 43 alien cadets, nervous but determined, and 4 human instructors who looked far too relaxed for what was coming. Attention, Vraxis announced through the facility's speaker system. His voice echoed across the space. This exercise will last 24 hours. You will be divided into mixed teams. Each team will include both alien and human members. Your objective is simple: survive and reach the extraction point on the far side of the training zone. He paused. The zone is set to simulate a hostile environment. Temperature extremes, limited resources, and automated combat drones serving as enemy forces. Teams that reach extraction successfully will pass this portion of your training. Teams that fail will repeat the exercise next week. Teams that sustain critical injuries will be pulled from the simulation. Lisa stood with Kevin, Amy, and Carlos near the equipment lockers. She was checking her gear methodically. Water supply, emergency rations, basic medical kit, and a training weapon that fired non-lethal marker rounds. Ziva approached them timidly. The small Pralaxian had been assigned to Lisa's team along with 3 other cadets: Thros the Korvathi, Kes the Thermalian, and Mex the Keltorian. Captain Morgan? Ziva's voice was barely audible over the noise of preparation. I am worried. My species does not do well in extreme temperatures, and I am not strong like you. Lisa knelt down to Ziva's eye level. Hey, that's okay. This isn't about individual strength. It's about working as a team. You have skills I don't have. You're small and quick. You can fit into spaces I can't reach. Your hearing is better than mine. We'll use everyone's strengths and we'll cover each other's weaknesses. Thros joined them, his crystalline form glinting in the harsh facility lights. Captain, what is the human strategy for this type of scenario? Adapt and overcome, Lisa said simply. We assess the situation, use what we have available, and keep moving forward. No complicated plans that fall apart at first contact. Just basic principles and flexibility. The other human instructors had gathered their own teams. Kevin had been paired with 4 Yarvelian cadets. Amy led a mixed group of Keltorians and smaller species. Carlos commanded a team of the larger, more physically imposing cadets. Vraxis's voice boomed through the speakers again. Teams enter the training zone. Simulation begins in 60 seconds. The heavy doors opened with a mechanical groan. Beyond them lay a landscape that had been transformed into something hostile and alien. Artificial rock formations jutted from the ground. Red sand covered everything. The temperature, already dropping, would fall much further once the simulation truly began. Lisa's team entered together. The doors sealed behind them with an ominous clang. Immediately, the temperature began to plummet. Within minutes, it dropped to levels that made the alien cadets shiver. Lisa looked uncomfortable but functional. First priority is shelter, Lisa announced. We need to find or make a place that blocks the wind and conserves heat. Thros, can you scan for natural formations we could use? Thros activated his portable scanner. His crystalline body was already losing its usual shimmer as the cold affected him. There is a rock formation 700 meters northwest. It appears to have a small cave system. Good, let's move. Stay close together. Share body heat if you need to. The team began walking through the red sand. Ziva struggled immediately, her small legs sinking into the loose surface with each step. Without being asked, Kes moved closer and offered her armored shoulder for support. Ziva gratefully held on, letting the larger alien help her through the difficult terrain. In the observation center, Vraxis watched multiple screens showing all the teams simultaneously. Several alien teams had immediately tried to use complex strategies, spreading out to cover more ground or splitting up to search for resources. The human instructors, in contrast, had all done the same thing, kept their teams together and focused on immediate survival needs. Interesting, Vraxis murmured to his assistant. The humans default to group cohesion before anything else. Back in the simulation, Lisa's team reached the rock formation. The cave was small, barely large enough for all of them, but it blocked the wind that had started howling across the landscape. The temperature was now below freezing by human standards, far below what most of the alien species could tolerate. Huddle up, Lisa instructed. We need to share warmth until we can find materials to make a fire. Mex the Keltorian made a concerned sound with his translator. Captain, humans generate significant body heat. Will this not drain your energy? I'll be fine, Lisa said. Right now, keeping the team functional is more important than conserving my personal energy. She positioned herself at the center of the group, her body heat radiating outward. The alien cadets pressed close, feeling the warmth coming from her. It was remarkable how much heat a human body produced. Thros was already scanning the cave walls with his equipment. There are mineral deposits here that could be combustible. If we can extract them and find an ignition source, we could create fire. Can you do the extraction? Lisa asked. Yes, but it will take time. Perhaps 30 minutes. Then that's what we'll do. Kes, scout the entrance and watch for those drones. They'll be active soon. Max, help me gather anything we can use for tools or weapons. Ziva, you rest and stay warm. We'll need your speed later. The team fell into their tasks naturally. Lisa's calm confidence seemed to spread to the others. Even Ziva, who had been terrified an hour ago, now looked determined. Outside the cave, the first wave of combat drones activated. These were spider-like machines equipped with marker weapons that would register as hits on the cadets' tracking devices. Too many hits meant elimination from the exercise. Kevin's team, positioned 2 kilometers away, encountered the drones first. The Arvelians with him immediately took defensive positions, attempting to use cover and tactical coordination. Kevin did something unexpected. He charged. In the observation center, several instructors gasped. One drone locked onto Kevin and fired. He dodged, moving faster than his bulky frame suggested possible. He reached the drone, grabbed one of its legs, and simply tore it off. The machine collapsed, disabled. What is he doing? Fraxis's assistant asked, shocked. Being human, Braxis replied calmly. Watch. The other drones turned their attention to Kevin, identifying him as the primary threat. This gave the Arvelians clear shots at the machines from their covered positions. Working together, Kevin's aggressive assault and the Arvelians' precise fire, they cleared the drones in under 2 minutes. Back in the cave, Lisa's team had successfully started a small fire using the combustible minerals Thros had extracted. The warmth was immediately felt. The alien cadets relaxed slightly, their bodies recovering from the extreme cold. Okay, Lisa said, studying a rough map she had sketched in the sand. The extraction point is 12 kilometers from here. That's a long walk in this terrain. We'll need to pace ourselves, conserve energy, and avoid as many drone encounters as possible. Should we not fight them? Kes asked. Prove our combat capabilities? Only if we have to, Lisa explained. The goal isn't to destroy every drone. It's to reach extraction. Fighting when we don't need to wastes energy and risks injury. Smart combat is knowing when not to fight. Mechs seemed surprised by this. But humans are warriors. I expected aggressive tactics, Lisa smiled. Humans are survivors first, warriors second. We fight when it serves a purpose. Right now, our purpose is getting everyone to extraction safely. 6 hours into the simulation, the temperature had swung from freezing cold to oppressive heat. The zone was now simulating a desert environment at midday. The alien cadets were suffering, their biology not adapted for such extremes. The humans looked uncomfortable but continued functioning. Amy's team had made good progress, but 2 of her Keltorian cadets were showing signs of heat exhaustion. She immediately called a halt, found shade under an artificial rock overhang, and began treating them with water and cooling techniques. We could leave the weak ones and make better time, one of the other cadets suggested. Amy's response was sharp. We don't leave people behind ever. We rest, we recover, and we move together. That's how human teams work. In Lisa's team, Ziva had collapsed. The heat was simply too much for her small body. Lisa didn't hesitate. She removed her jacket, soaked it with water from their limited supply, and wrapped it around Ziva. Then she picked up the small alien and carried her. Captain, you will exhaust yourself, Thros protested. I'll manage, Lisa said. We keep moving. Kes moved closer to provide shade for both Lisa and Ziva. Max took Lisa's equipment pack to lighten her load. Thros scouted ahead to find the most efficient path. The team moved as one unit, each member supporting the others. Braxis watched this scene play out on his monitors. This is the pack bond in action, he said to his assistant. Notice how the entire team's behavior. The classroom felt different now. Where there had once been fear and uncertainty, there was now curiosity and respect. The cadets entered with confidence, greeting Lisa and the other human instructors by name. Some even shared jokes with them, a development that would have seemed impossible 3 weeks ago. But today's lesson would test that newfound trust in ways the cadets didn't yet understand. Braxis stood at the front of the room, his crystalline form catching the morning light. He waited until everyone was seated, then activated a holographic display that showed a simple question floating in the air. What stops them? You have learned much about humanity over these past weeks, Vraxis began. You have seen their capacity for violence, their physical capabilities, their loyalty to packmates. You have trained with them and seen firsthand how effective they are as soldiers and survivors. But today we address the most important question of all. He gestured to the holographic text. What stops humans from becoming conquerors? What prevents them from using their considerable advantages to dominate the galaxy? This is not a theoretical question. This is the question that determines whether humanity deserves their place in the Galactic Council. The classroom fell silent. Every cadet understood the weight of what was being asked. Ziva raised her small hand, trembling slightly. Commander Vraxis, may I ask the first question? Please do. Ziva turned to face Lisa, who stood near the window. Captain Morgan, you have shown us how strong humans are, how loyal, how determined. You have shown us that humans can survive things that would kill most of us. With all this power, what stops you from simply taking what you want? Lisa walked to the center of the room slowly, considering her answer carefully. Choice, she said finally. Every human has the capacity for violence. That's true. We're built for it, evolved for it. But we also have the capacity for compassion, for creation, for cooperation. Just because we can hurt someone doesn't mean we should. She looked around the room, meeting as many eyes as she could. The same hands that can break bones can also heal them. The same minds that plan battles can also write poetry. The same hearts that feel rage can also feel love. Humans contain multitudes. We're not simple creatures driven by one instinct. We're complex beings who have to choose every day what kind of people we want to be. Thras spoke up, his voice thoughtful. But choice can change. What happens when humans feel threatened? What happens when they become angry? We have seen footage of human violence. It is terrifying. Kevin stepped forward to address this. You're right to ask that. Yeah, when humans are threatened or angry, we can become dangerous. Very dangerous. But here's the thing. We have systems in place specifically because we know this about ourselves. We have laws, courts, rules of engagement, accountability measures. We don't trust ourselves to always make the right choice in the heat of the moment, so we build structures that keep us honest. Amy added, human military forces have something called rules of engagement. These are strict guidelines about when we can use force, how much force we can use, and what targets are acceptable. If a soldier violates these rules, they face punishment. Sometimes prison. We don't let our warriors run wild. A Yarvelian cadet named Pell raised a tentacle. But what about your history? You fought wars where millions died. Where were these rules then? Being developed, Lisa answered honestly. You're right. Our ancestors committed atrocities. They killed civilians, destroyed cities, used weapons we now consider horrific. But every one of those mistakes taught us something. After each war, we created new rules to prevent the worst excesses from happening again. She pulled up images on the holographic display. Documents with titles like Geneva Conventions and Rules of War. These are some of the agreements humans made with each other about how to conduct warfare. Don't target civilians. Don't torture prisoners. Don't use certain weapons that cause unnecessary suffering. We created these rules because we recognized our own capacity for cruelty and decided to limit it. Carlos joined the discussion. Here's something important. These rules don't just apply to fighting other humans. When we joined the Galactic Council, we extended these same principles to all species. The rules that protect human civilians also protect alien civilians. The standards we hold ourselves to, we apply universally. Vraxis changed the display to show various human philosophical texts and ethical frameworks. Humanity has spent thousands of years thinking about morality. Their philosophers have debated questions of right and wrong, just and unjust, moral and immoral. This is not a species that acts without thought. They question their own actions constantly. Mex, who had been quiet until now, spoke in his translator's mechanical voice. But questions are not the same as answers. Humans debate morality, yes. But do they agree? Do they follow their own rules? Not always, Lisa admitted. We're not perfect. Some humans break the rules. Some cause harm despite knowing better. But here's what matters. When that happens, other humans step in to stop them. We police ourselves. We hold each other accountable. She pulled up news articles and legal documents from Earth's recent history. Look at these examples. Human soldiers who committed war crimes were prosecuted by their own governments. Human leaders who abused power were removed from office by their own people. We don't tolerate those who break the rules, even if they're our own kind. Kess clicked her armor plates together in thought. This suggests humans are their own greatest critics. You judge yourselves more harshly than you judge others. Probably, Kevin said. We know what we're capable of. We've seen the worst of humanity throughout our history. So we're vigilant. We watch ourselves, question ourselves, try to be better than our ancestors were. A Korvathi cadet named Drell spoke up nervously. But what if humans decide the rules no longer serve them? What if you choose to conquer? The room tensed. This was the fear that many had been holding back, the worry that lurked beneath all their newfound trust. Amy answered this one, her voice serious. Then the rest of humanity would stop us. Look, here's the reality. Humans don't agree on everything. We have different governments, different cultures, different beliefs, but one thing we overwhelmingly agree on is that conquest and domination are wrong. If some human faction tried to start conquering the galaxy, they'd have to fight through the rest of humanity first. She's right, Carlos added. Human history shows this pattern. Whenever a leader or nation tried to conquer others, eventually other humans united to stop them. It happened with dictators on Earth. It would happen in space too. We're more likely to fight each other over ethical violations than we are to unite in conquest. Lisa gestured to the display. Let me show you something that might help you understand. She pulled up statistics about human behavior in the years since joining the Council. Since becoming part of the galactic community, human military actions have decreased by 70%. Our crime rates have dropped. Our focus has shifted from competition with other humans to cooperation with all species. She let that sink in before continuing. When humanity was isolated on Earth, we saw each other as the competition. We fought over resources, territory, ideologies. But joining the Council changed our perspective. Suddenly, we weren't just humans anymore. We were part of something bigger. And that changed how we saw ourselves. Vraxis stepped forward. This is a crucial point. What Captain Morgan describes is the expansion of the pack bond mentality. Humans have extended their tribal instincts to include the entire Galactic Council. You are all part of their pack now, which means human protective instincts apply to you as well. Siva spoke again, her voice stronger now. So humans will not conquer because they see us as packmates? As family? Exactly, Lisa said. We don't hurt family. We protect family. Once you're part of the pack, you're under our protection, not our threat. Thras stood up, his crystalline body catching the light. I want to propose a thought experiment. Captain Morgan, imagine that a powerful enemy threatened Earth. An enemy so strong that defeating them would require tactics you consider immoral. Attacking civilians, using forbidden weapons, breaking your own rules. Would humans do it to save themselves? The question hung heavy in the air. Every cadet leaned forward, waiting for the answer. Lisa didn't respond immediately. She thought carefully, visibly wrestling with the question. That's a hard question, Thras. And I appreciate you asking it because it gets to the heart of who we are. She paused. Honestly, some humans probably would. In a desperate situation facing extinction, some would argue that survival justifies anything. Several cadets looked alarmed. Lisa held up a hand. But here's the thing. Other humans would stop them. Even facing extinction, even in the worst imaginable scenario, there would be humans who refused to compromise their values. Who said that some prices are too high to pay, even for survival? Kevin nodded agreement. We have historical examples of this. Humans who refused to follow immoral orders even when threatened with death. Soldiers who protected enemy civilians when ordered to harm them. People who chose to die rather than betray their principles. But why? Pell asked, genuinely confused. Why would anyone choose death over survival? Amy answered softly. Because for humans, how we survive matters as... The final week arrived with unexpected speed. The Academy's grand auditorium had been prepared for the graduation ceremony, but first came the final assessment. Each cadet would present their analysis of humanity to a panel of senior officers from various species. The presentations would determine not only their grades but also their future assignments. The auditorium was smaller than the main graduation hall, designed for presentations rather than ceremonies. Rows of seats faced a central stage. The panel of officers sat behind a long table, their various forms making an impressive display of galactic diversity. Vraxis sat at the center, flanked by a Yarvelian admiral, a Thromalian general, and a Keltorian strategic coordinator. Lisa and the other human instructors sat in the back row, present to answer questions if needed, but not to influence the assessments. They watched as one by one the alien cadets took the stage to present their findings. Thros was among the first. The Korvathi cadet stood at the podium, his crystalline form refracting light across the room as he activated his presentation. My assessment of humanity, Thros began, his voice steady, is that they represent both the greatest risk and the greatest opportunity the Galactic Council has ever encountered. He pulled up data displays showing human capabilities. Physically, humans are formidable. Psychologically, they are resilient. Tactically, they are innovative. These traits make them dangerous in any conflict scenario. He paused, letting the data speak for itself before continuing. However, these same traits make them invaluable as allies. Human loyalty, once earned, is absolute. Human determination means they do not abandon objectives or teammates. Human adaptability means they can function in environments and situations that would incapacitate most species. His presentation showed footage from the training exercise, specifically the moment when Lisa had carried Ziva for hours through hostile terrain. This image summarizes my conclusion. Humans will endure personal suffering to protect packmates. This behavior is not tactical. It is instinctive. It cannot be trained or faked. It is simply who they are. Thros looked directly at the panel. My recommendation is full integration of humans into galactic military operations with no restrictions. The risks they pose to enemies are exactly what we need. The loyalty they show to allies is exactly what the Council should value. I would serve under human command without hesitation, and I would serve alongside human troops with confidence. He stepped down to respectful silence from the panel. The Yarvelian admiral made a note on her datapad. Ziva was next. The small Prilaxian looked tiny on the large stage, but her voice carried clearly through the auditorium sound system. When I began this course, I was afraid, Ziva admitted. Humans seemed like monsters from my childhood nightmares. Predators, warriors, dangerous creatures I could never understand. She pulled up her own presentation, which focused on the psychological aspects of humanity. But I learned something important. Humans are not monsters. They are people who have struggled with their own nature and chosen to be better than their instincts. Every human carries the capacity for violence, yes, but they also carry the capacity for compassion. And crucially, they choose compassion more often than violence. Her presentation showed various examples of human ethical behavior, peacekeeping operations, humanitarian missions, and cultural exchanges with other species. Humans understand their own darkness. They study it, discuss it, and actively work to overcome it. This self-awareness makes them more trustworthy, not less. Ziva's voice grew stronger. During the training exercise, I experienced what it means to be part of a human pack. Captain Morgan did not carry me because it was tactically optimal. She carried me because I was part of her team, and she does not leave teammates behind. This behavior is not unique to Captain Morgan. It is common to all humans, she concluded simply. I trust humans. I recommend full integration, and I request assignment to a unit with human members because I want to continue being part of their pack. The presentations continued throughout the morning. Kess, the Thromalian, gave a tactical analysis that emphasized how human unpredictability and innovation made them excellent at asymmetric warfare. Mex, the Keltorian, presented research on human cooperation patterns and concluded that humans were natural team builders who elevated the performance of mixed species units. Drell, who had been skeptical throughout the course, presented a more cautious assessment. Humans are undeniably capable, he said, but I recommend ongoing monitoring and evaluation, not because I distrust them, but because their power requires responsibility. The Council should maintain oversight to ensure that human military forces continue to operate ethically. Lisa nodded approvingly from the back row. That was a fair assessment, and exactly the kind of thoughtful caution that good officers should maintain. By early afternoon, all 43 cadets had presented. The panel deliberated for 30 minutes while the cadets waited nervously in an adjacent room. Finally, Vraxis emerged to deliver their verdict. Cadets, return to the auditorium, he announced. They filed back in and stood at attention in rows before the panel. Vraxis stood at the podium, his 4 eyes scanning the assembled students. Your presentations were thoughtful, well-researched, and demonstrated mature understanding of complex issues, he began. The panel has reviewed your assessments and reached a consensus. He paused for effect. All of you have passed this unit with commendation. A collective exhale of relief rippled through the cadets. More importantly, Vraxis continued, your assessments align with the Council's own evaluation. The overwhelming recommendation from this class is for full integration of human forces into galactic military operations. This recommendation carries weight. Your generation will serve alongside humans. Your opinion matters. The Yarvelian Admiral stood. I want to address something several of you mentioned in your presentations. The question of trust. Her translator rendered her words in clear standard. Trust in military operations is not given freely. It is earned through shared experience and demonstrated reliability. Humans have been earning that trust for 8 cycles. But the real test comes now. As we deploy mixed species units to active duty stations, the Thromalian general added his own thoughts. Some of you recommended caution and monitoring. This is wise. The Council will indeed maintain oversight of all military operations, human and otherwise, but understand that this oversight is not because we distrust humans specifically. It is standard protocol for all Council forces. Vraxis stepped forward again. In 3 days, you will participate in the Academy's graduation ceremony. You will receive your assignments. Many of you will serve on ships and stations with human crew members. Some will serve under human commanders. Others will command units that include human soldiers. He looked at each cadet in turn. What you have learned in this classroom will be tested in reality. Apply these lessons well. The cadets were dismissed. As they left, many approached Lisa and the other human instructors to shake hands or exchange gestures of respect in their various cultural traditions. Ziva lingered after the others had gone. She approached Lisa hesitantly. Captain Morgan, I received my assignment. Already? Lisa looked surprised. That was fast. The Admiral gave it to me personally, Ziva said. I am assigned to the exploration vessel Horizon's Edge. Mixed crew. The first officer is human. She paused. His name is Greg Turner. Do you know him? Lisa's face lit up with a smile. Greg, yes. He's excellent. Fair, competent, and he has a good sense of humor. You'll like serving with him. Will he accept me? A Perlaxian is not very useful in combat situations. Lisa knelt down to Ziva's eye level, just like she had on the first day of the training exercise. Greg won't care about your combat ability. He'll care about your skills, your attitude, and your willingness to be part of the team. You're smart, quick, and you've proven you can handle pressure. You'll do great. Ziva's fur rippled in a way that indicated pleasure. Thank you, Captain, for everything. You changed how I see humans, how I see myself too. After Ziva left, Kevin approached Lisa. That was nice what you said to her. It's true, Lisa replied. She'll be a good officer. They all will. Think this works? Kevin asked. This whole experiment of mixing species and military units? It has to work, Lisa said simply. The alternative is staying separate, staying scared of each other. That leads nowhere good. 3 days later, the graduation ceremony filled the Academy's main auditorium with beings from across the galaxy. Family members had traveled from distant worlds to watch their children graduate. The ceremony itself was a blend of traditions from multiple species, acknowledging the diversity of the graduating class. When it came time for the awards, Vraxis announced a special commendation. This year's class participated in a unique curriculum focused on interspecies cooperation. They studied humanity in depth, trained with human instructors, and demonstrated exceptional ability to adapt and work across species lines. He called several names, including Ziva, Thros, Kess, and Max. They came to the stage together. These cadets showed particular excellence in understanding and applying the principles of mixed species operations. They are awarded the Council Star for academic achievement and recommended for assignment to prestigious positions throughout the